Hey everyone, it's Tammy. Thanks so much for joining me today and clicking on that link to watch this video. I was in a conversation this morning, and before I go any further, if you're new to watching me, thank you very much for joining and welcome. If you're a returning subscriber, thank you again. Please continue to share the love, and I'm always glad to have you here. But that said, I was in a conversation, and that happened to be regarding the use of cannabis, medical marijuana, and PTSD. And so it just got me to thinking because every time I hear, I mean, it's been for years, and I probably have even spoken about it in some of my other videos. But as a phytotherapist and aromacologist, I have a deep respect and appreciation for all plants. And when I hear about people wanting to legalize marijuana and incorporate cannabis into the medical protocols, while I can respect that, at the same time, it angers me. Truthfully, it pisses me off because if we're going to legalize one plant, we really need to legalize all plants because let's be real. Um, we're not allowed to talk about plants and the way they actually affect us. I mean, we can kind of, sort of, as long as we don't promise that they heal the body. And what I find interesting is that there's people talking about cannabis as if it's some sort of miracle drug. You know, God given, it is the savior of plants. And that's not even close to the truth. It's not. So my thing is, um, I think you need time to be honest. What are you really looking for? I mean, if pot is your answer, um, I say you want to be stoned. You're just looking to be stoned. Not that there's anything wrong with it. Trust me, I don't have any judgment on that one. Truthfully, I can't smoke pot and I can't eat the edibles because once you process THC, which is the tetrahydrocannabinol, um, in its raw form, it's a fatty acid. Once you process it, whether you're smoking it or you're heating it up and putting it in edibles, it is now broken down, and it's still a lipid that affects the cannabinoid system. And while that is an important system, we have our own system. We actually produce our own endocannabinoids, but it's an important system, and it has its role or its connection to helping to reduce inflammation, helping to reduce pain, supporting immune function. So it has its purpose. So I get the idea of using cannabis, but like I said, it's time we legalize all plants. It's time we actually recognize the significance of these various constituents. And so, if what like I said, so it's really time to be honest. If what you're looking for is to get stoned, and I don't mean any disrespect to anybody with PTSD. If you've been diagnosed with it, my heart is with you. I have been around people. I've got a couple of cases of it actually within my extended family. So I recognize the significance of PTSD and needing the importance of helping to soothe that system. Um, Self-soothing is such an important aspect to our existence because it is what the body requires to get some relief. And so I do understand it. And trust me, I completely align with the idea of cannabis in place of opiates. These painkillers, these opiates are just, astonishingly addictive. But many substances are. In fact, if you really want to know the truth, cannabis has been determined to also alter the brain structure, the dopaminergic mesolimbic pathway, which is that structure in the brain that when there's changes that occur to it are indicative of addiction. That is actually how we qualify addiction, is the changes in the brain structure. And the thing is obviously they're not testing everybody's brains and imaging everybody's brains, but we are very well aware of various substances that do in fact make changes to that structure. If you want to know more about that, please check out my video, Leveling the Playing Field. We're wired for self-soothing, and we are wired to self-soothe and self-medicate. So that change in the brain structure, like I said, cannabis happens to be one of the drugs that is known to do that. So if we're going to transfer an addiction, then there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, that's all we're ever really going to do is just, again, if you go visit the other video, but I'll just briefly touch on it here. The idea is to choose, make safer choices in what we're doing to help self-soothe. So in the area of PTSD, I do align with the idea of prescribing medical marijuana in place of opiates. At the same time, if we're going to be looking at plants and legalizing plants as a whole and their benefit overall to our health, and stop going, don't use them, because I've had too many doctors now basically try to undermine my work with my private clients when they found out they were working with me because, well, there's no credibility to aromatherapy, or I should say to essential oils. And I have to say, to all doctors who may get wind of this video, you're mistaken. You are sadly mistaken. And if that's what you're telling your patients, then you might want to give me a shout out. You might want to hit me up, because I will talk you under the table about how the oils will actually enhance the medications. Yes, they may even replace the medications that you're prescribing, but the fact is that we have both. And so please do not be telling patients that essential oils don't have the credibility. They absolutely do. Now, that said, there's different qualities of essential oils. And I strongly encourage the use of only authentic and genuine. I don't want to hear about therapeutic. Therapeutic is a marketing term. So again, I do recognize the fact that while there's questions about the quality of our oils, but come on, guys. I mean, we're replicating these chemicals in labs. We're making medications. So there's varying qualities of medications, there's varying qualities of everything. And if you really want to know, your CBD oil, a lot of that's being synthesized in labs as well. So let's just, all cards on the table here. So again, if you're talking about essential oils, I can absolutely own in my field, there are varying qualities. And I don't recommend, again, I don't recommend anything that's bought off the store shelf. You might as well just use those for your fragrances if that's what you're looking for, or I mean, like, for your diffusers around the house. But don't look to them to be beneficial for your health. Authentic and genuine, because at that point they've been tested and demonstrated that they do not contain extra esters or chemicals to enhance the aroma or any, and that's basically why they're being added. Or they actually show a complete molecule versus one that's been cut and you're only getting the fragrance part. So, and as I mentioned, therapeutic is a marketing term, as is organic. Yeah. It's well known that organic does not necessarily mean it's 100% clean. It just means that it might have been grown without chemicals, but chemicals can be also used in the processing area. And again, depending on what might be added to it, it doesn't have to be 100% organic. As long as there's a portion of it, that's a percentage that's organic, then they can put organic on the label. So organic and therapeutic are primarily marketing terms. So if you're looking for authentic and genuine oils, that's what you need to be requesting, and I can also steer you in that direction. So that was kind of a little tangent that I went on. So hey, thanks for hanging out for that if you did. Well, like I said, the whole idea here is to recognize the fact that plants have important qualities to them that we can benefit from. And if we're going to be legalizing one and looking at one as a healing partner, here's the deal. I don't believe anything will heal the body. Nothing will heal the body. The only thing that's going to heal the body is the body itself. We want to give it the information that will actually stabilize the system, because it's currently in chronic survival mode. If stress response is activated consistently with all the xenoestrogens and phytoestrogens and so forth that we have in our environment, and mind you, cannabis acts like estrogen in the body as well. So for as much stress that you think you're relieving, it's more of a short-term effect. Long-term effect, you're looking at screwing that body up even further. So here again, even if you're going to use medical marijuana for your PTSD or for any health condition, you might want to consider balancing it out with essential oils. And then you got to be careful, because now you're going to have interactions, because CBD is a well-known liver enzyme inhibitor. I think it pretty much works on all enzymes. So you got to be really careful with that one. So back to looking at plants as beneficial healing partners, healing influencers. That's a good way to put it. Yeah, plants are healing influencers, but I want to get to a couple of things here. So we know THC, like I said, to be a fatty acid, and THC in the plant itself actually helps protect the plant from various insects and environmental stress, as well as ultraviolet light. So you see, there's a purpose to these chemicals. The plants produce, they produce it. And what's really, really cool, oh my God, it's so cool, is that now that I just said that, I mean, I've talked about this in other videos, but you know, if you haven't seen them all, which if you haven't, I don't blame you, they're kind of lengthy, but if you have, hey, thanks for watching. But anyway, what's really cool is like, okay, so these plants make chemicals, and these chemicals are in response to the environment. So what is going on around the plant, it's basically oxidative stress in the plant. Okay, so these chemicals are produced as oxidative stress. We make our own oxidative stress. I was thinking about this morning, you know, because I was looking to get into a conversation with somebody else, and we have this really bad idea of oxidative stress. We think it is bad, defective, you know, this is a problem. Guys, oxidative stress is protecting you. It's keeping you alive. Whether you like the inflammation and the decline in your health and so forth, it's actually keeping you alive. Because if you're watching this, your oxidative stress is doing you a favor. So a couple examples of oxidative stress. In the presence of heavy metals, depending on the type of heavy metal, there's a couple of things that go on, and one of them of which is, and I'll get back to the other, I just wanted to say this first. The THC clearly is about a chemical that is produced within a plant for protection. Okay, we produce chemicals as protection, whether we're talking about toxins, whether we're talking about you know, like bacteria, viruses, heavy metals, and so forth. So in the presence of heavy metals, depending on what the heavy metal is, it'll activate a process in the body that will begin to, if we're going to just talk about iron and, oh my gosh, iron is a big one, but you have to forgive me, I forget. I have to look them up. But there's certain heavy metals that are stored in the brain. I'll just put it that way. Iron being one of them. In the presence of these particular heavy metals, the body begins to oxidize dopamine through the use of glutamate in order to store these heavy metals in the substantia nigra. Now, the substantia nigra is called that because it looks like a black substance within the brain. Now, when we are born, that area of the brain is not black. It darkens rather quickly during the first year of birth. And that's because we're exposed to so much, all right? So we're basically born automatically oxidizing our dopamine, again, through the help of glutamate. Now, at the same time, okay, so that's basically oxidative stress. Now, and what happens is when we're no longer exposed, this is the way it's supposed to work, when we're no longer exposed to these heavy metals, then the body has the ability to deactivate the oxidation process. And you know how? Glutamate is then converted into glutathione, and glutathione is the antioxidant that actually stops the oxidation of dopamine, and everything comes back to status quo. Okay, that's the cool thing about oxidative stress. Another really good example is in the presence of lead. and we produce reactive oxygen species. And one of them in particular is hydrogen peroxide. Yeah, we actually produce hydrogen peroxide. We also produce it in the presence of certain bacteria and whatnot. So we produce this reactive oxygen species in order to break down the, actually take the lead and transport the lead into various bodily tissues, primarily the bone marrow. And then and this also involves the use of glutamate. And then once the lead is, the threat is gone, the body has the ability to deactivate that oxidative stress, because for reactive oxygen species, hydrogen peroxide is a form of oxidative stress. So we have, and it does this again through glutamate. I didn't mean to stutter. With glutamate to produce glutathione. What's interesting to me also, as a side note, is that glutamate as an extracellular neurotransmitter, which means it's not being used within the cells. It has other purposes, like we were just talking about, but at high levels becomes neurotoxic, and it starts to burn the nerves. And this is where we start to see such things as neurodegenerative diseases. Again, and this is why they're linked to heavy metals. And also a reason why they're being placed on such things as gabapentin, because gabapentin is an agonist to the GABA receptors, which is also how glutamate is supposed to be being converted. Once it's no longer used extracellularly, it is now also converted into GABA, which helps us, get this, self-soothe. Helps us self-soothe. Self-soothing. We're wired to self-soothe. We've got the GABA. So, but that's what's really cool about plants. We do the same thing. We produce the chemicals that we absolutely need, and we have the ability to make these changes. And it really doesn't need to be human involvement. Now, that said, given the world that we've created with 45 million frickin' chemicals, it needs some help. And this is where we want to come in and create some stability. And this is why it would be really to our advantage to begin looking at plants as something beyond, fragrance. I have to tell you something. I saw, and I know you have to forgive my tangents, but I heard something the other day on the radio. For particular, I'm not going to name it here because I don't want to do any harm to anyone, but you can look it up, but they are gummies for sleep with melatonin. And on the radio ad, I heard it also had lavender and chamomile in it. Well, I already have significant challenges just with those 3 ingredients alone, and I don't need to, I actually with 2 of those, but I'm not going to go into it here. But the point that I wanted to get at is when I actually came back to my computer to look it up, to see really what is going on and what all is in this, what these ingredients are, I found it fascinating because there's actually other ingredients as well. But it does claim to be natural, and the active ingredient is the melatonin. Inactive ingredients: lavender, chamomile, valerian, and lemon balm. Now, my question is, if they're inactive, then why are they even in there? Because we're basically just wasting money on all ends. The companies are wasting money by putting these things in, and it's costing us more money on the other end. Like I said, I'm not going to go into my reasons as to why I don't agree with this product. At the same time, to list these plants as inactive is a freaking insult. It is an absolute insult, because we already know these plants have the ability to calm and soothe the human body. We already recognize that, but to call them inactive was stupid. It's just absolutely stupid. It's stupid. And I mean, there are other ingredients, and other products that I've seen as inactive. And again, if they're inactive, if they have no purpose, it's like me sitting there one night talking to my mom when I was a kid, and I was picking out all the onions because I just don't like onions. And she says to me, "You can't taste them." And then I looked at her and I go, "Then what are you putting them in there for?" It's the same thing. What are you putting them in there for? If they're inactive and they're serving no purpose, then keep them out. And let's cut the cost for everybody. That's all I have to say. But to claim that lavender, chamomile, lemon balm, and valerian are inactive ingredients is pure stupidity. And it's, like I said, it's an insult to plants altogether. And I don't mean that plants don't really give a shit. They just They are. They are what they are. But I mean, to think about how much we are trying to legalize cannabis and yet claim other plants are inactive and have no benefit to the human body is ludicrous. It's absurd. So, back to my whole thing with THC. So, THC is a chemical produced by the cannabis plant, and it is a form of protection. It protects against insects and ultraviolet light as well as other environmental stress, which I thought was very, very fascinating. So then I thought I would look into a couple of other things because salicylic acid, you're probably familiar with that. That would be aspirin, which comes from generally white willow bark. Here in New Mexico, there's actually salicylic acid produced in the chamisa plants, and it's found in other barks, trees, yeah, other barks. And but it's when I did my course, one of the things that I discovered was that salicylic acid is actually found in many plants. And it happens to be a significant signaling molecule, basically warning. It's released in the plants. Once a plant has been attacked by an insect or a threat, there's a threat in the area, plants will begin to release salicylic acid as a major signaling molecule to alert other plants of the potential threat. That's pretty huge, okay? It's also by the plant itself. I had to print these up because I just can't hold all the stuff in my head. But the other thing is it's considered a phytohormone, and it says here that it's involved in plant growth and development, photosynthesis, transpiration, ion uptake, and transport. And that's again big. You know, your ion transport is your uptake, and transport is your minerals. So salicylic acid has a significant role in plants, and we also recognize it for its pain relieving qualities, its analgesic qualities. And from what I have come to learn, the Native Americans in the New Mexico area used to chew on the chamisa plant whenever they had pain. They found that that was a very self-soothing. Now, whether it was just the action of chewing on a plant or they were getting benefit, my guess is they were getting benefit. You know, that's how we discovered that there was some in the chamisa. So, like I said, salicylic acid, another big signaling molecule, also recognized for its ability to relieve pain, just like THC. But I realize that we also have aspirin, but there are plants that contain it. You know, if you actually got the herbs like the white willow bark and other plants, you could benefit from the salicylic acid. But the point to this one also was, again, it's a chemical that is produced in response to something, and it is used throughout the community, the plant community, which I think is very, very fascinating. The other plant constituent, I mean, and I could sit here and point them all out, and I actually have plans here to begin. Just I'll let you know that I'm going to start doing kind of something along these lines, but along the lines of all essential oils in the plants. But I'm going to take it one oil at a time and basically educating you, the public, on essential oils in a way that's not currently being discussed. And I just want to bring that here because I believe it's time. In the meantime, let me just quickly visit the constituent called linalool. That's linalool. There's actually two different types of linalool, and they actually have different functions in the human body. They have different effects, I should say, neuro effects in the human body. But they are found, linalool is found in approximately 200 species of plants. So it's, again, a very, and believe it or not, it's in cannabis. It is in cannabis. And its primary function is pesticides. So again, it's plant protection, and it's different types of pesticides. So you know, again, just like we have different types of oxidative stress that we call oxidative stress, we have reactive oxygen species. You know, we have COX-2. We have various different types. So I'm just going to say various types of oxidative stress. different chemicals. I want to put it that way. There's different chemicals that are being produced. Peroxynitrite, hydrogen peroxide, ammonia. I mean, these are all chemicals, and there's many of them. So we produce a lot of chemicals in response to various things. And just like the plants. And that's my point, is that, we are, I mean, even though we are not a plant with, we are in very much, I mean, nature is freaking nature. It's based, it all operates the same. Everything is wired to take care of itself, and we're wired for communication. We're wired for community. So we have this ability to work throughout nature, and recognizing the value that plants bring, and that how much, we are very much like them. And so to be looking at what we do is bad and then going to them and going, oh, what you're doing is good and we can benefit from you, this is ridiculous. Their oxidative stress in some ways, like in the case of linalool, actually helps to relieve the production of oxidative stress in the human body. But nonetheless, we have the ability, we make these various chemicals for different reasons. So linalool, as I mentioned, is found in cannabis and approximately 200 other species of plants. And the purpose of it in a plant is a pesticide. So it's a form of protection as well. We recognize it primarily for its fragrance. And so it's used in a lot of different products today. Because why? Not because they're harvesting it from plants, but because they're replicating it in labs. So it's being synthesized at this point and used in various products. But it is still readily available through many plants. And the effect on the human body is pretty profound. It basically has a significant impact on a number of neurotransmitters, from dopamine, acetylcholine, GABA. Let me see what else I have here. The opioid receptors. It affects both the peripheral and the central nervous system, and it's also very effective in pain, and it's currently still being studied in the way of pain relief. So if there's in the presence of inflammation and pain, linalool is also very useful. So is it the THC or is it the linalool when you're smoking pot? Because again, it is found in over 200 species of plants, and it comes in essential oils. A couple of oils that actually have linalool in them are lavender, rosewood, coriander, myrtle green are some examples. They have different properties and different effects on the human body. And again, as I mentioned, the linalool and lavender versus the linalool and coriander are different types of linalool. So they're going to have different effects on the neurotransmitters. And so this is significant again when I talk about essential oils, and this is exactly what I'll be touching on in addition to other things. But these chemicals have the ability to influence neurotransmitters, and while there may be value to that, if you're not using medication, you cannot be doing the same thing. You cannot be using these types of oils if you're using medication to affect. Like, for instance, I wouldn't recommend any oil with linalool in it if you're taking gabapentin. I mean, that's right there. I mean, linalool has an effect on the GABA receptors. So you got to know, because it's going to lead to anxiety. It's going to actually agitate the system. I can tell you straight up. So again, these are things that I'm going to be talking about in the future videos on just specifically essential oils. I'm not quite sure which one I want to start with, if I just want to start alphabetically, and maybe that probably would make it the easiest for me instead of trying to figure it all out, which way, who's on first and what. So anyway, if you're new to me and you've watched this far, thank you. And please visit my website, synergessence.com, to learn more about me. Another thing that I'm introducing that's going to come in these videos, but I'm actually have established it through my artwork, is the messages from nature. And as I said, we are wired to self-soothe and self-medicate. We are constantly in communication via chemicals. The external environment is consistently affecting us, and our internal environment. We're wired for community, and there's a lot of information that I've established, these messages from nature, that I'm going to incorporate into with the essential oils, because we have this great ability to protect ourselves and to thrive, more importantly. So keep in mind, protection is survival, and we have the ability to survive, and God knows we've been doing it very well for a very long time, but we also have the ability to thrive. And isolating one plant as the only is as the be all end all is ridiculous. Yes, there are crossover constituents, but it's absolutely ridiculous. It's learning how to incorporate and work with what your system needs, not because the bandwagon says this is what's good for you. And that's where I come into helping to create a universal cure individually. That's what I want to, yeah. It's just, we have this thing that we're going to find a cure, and we're not. But the cure lies within you. So what you're looking for is to actually overcome. And I think it's a good idea, before I close, in saying that as adults, it would be to our advantage to understand, or actually try to adopt, a different way of approaching health and wellness, if not for ourselves, but to model a different way for our children, because our children don't need to grow up thinking that once they get a job and they get, and they raise a family, that it's just time to age and observe the decline in our health. It's happening too early these days, and so we can start changing it, and for them. So again, synergessence.com. And the reason I mentioned that about nature, messages from nature, is because I am sharing my photographs as a means of sharing them with you, sharing the messages, as well as selling them in various formats, so that we can raise money for the National Alliance on Mental Illness. It's not that they're not out there researching a cure. They're actually providing resources for the folks and our friends and family and community members who are struggling with some form of mental and/or mood disorder. So take a look at those. Those can be found on, there's some links. You can even find me on Fine Art America. I'll put that link down in here too. And if you want to email me, Tammy@synergessence.com. You can also follow me on Twitter and Instagram at TammyDavis8 on both. And until later, thanks for watching, and be looking for a series. I'm going to try to get one done once a week, but we'll see how it goes, because I'm anticipating a lot of information. So anyway, again, thanks for watching. Take care of yourselves, and let me know what questions you may have about plants, because I'm happy to share it with you. All right, thanks. Bye.